Michelle Davis.
Hello, Judge.
Yes, where's Michelle Davis?
She's here. She's in the.
All right, come forward.
Well, we have, the reason why we're approaching today is because I have a motion for competency that needs to get heard. I haven't heard back from Carruthers Court.
All right, did you file the motion?
It's file stamped and it's just waiting for
Okay, when was it filed?
about a month ago.
So we're gonna call you back for July 8th. All right,
Thank you.
and I'll give you a reset form, and once you sign that, you are excused.
Thank you.
Sure. Alex Joe Prado.
Good, Judge.
Okay. And then this is Robert Porter. He's a good attorney to follow around. All right, so what is happening with this case? Where are we on discovery?
I believe I have all of the discovery, at least what the state has tendered to me. Need to go over it with Mr. Pardo. And he did already extend an offer. We rejected it at this time.
I'm so sorry, just one moment. You know, when
It's
contracts.
just been a call.
Yeah, it is. All right, so sir, how old are you?
28.
All right, so I'm gonna set this for a plea deadline dates. And I'll set it for June 24th. Is that a good date for you, counsel?
That's fine, Judge.
All right, so we're gonna come back on June 24th. On June 24th, that's the time where you say, yes, I'm accepting the state's offer. You all negotiate on something else. You understand?
Yes, ma'am.
Court is calling 2024 CR 4292, State of Texas versus April Marie Sanchez. Can I have parties announced for the record for the state?
Daniel Escobar for the state of Texas.
Defense?
Peter Calderola from the Sanchez, Your Honor.
And are you Ms. Sanchez?
Yes, ma'am.
Counsel, have you received all the discovery? Did you review it with your client?
Yes, Your Honor.
Court will find that the state is in compliance with discovery. Are there any applications in this case?
No, Your Honor.
I'm going to show you what's entitled True Bill of Indictment. Did you review that with your attorney? Did you understand it?
Yes, ma'am.
Counsel, do you waive the reading of the indictment?
Yes, Your Honor.
State, are you proceeding on the indictment as presented?
Your Honor, we're waiting for the answer application.
Any objection?
No objection, Your Honor.
Showing you what's entitled Court Admonishments. Did you review that document with your attorney? Did you understand it?
Yes, ma'am.
Did you sign it in all the appropriate places?
Yes, ma'am.
Did you understand you're charged with the offense of possession of a controlled substance, penalty group 1, less than 1 gram? That's a state jail felony. The range of punishment is anywhere from 180 days up to 2 years in the state jail facility and up to $10,000 fine. Did you understand?
Yes, ma'am.
If you have a plea bargain agreement with the state, the court does not have to follow your plea. If for any reason the court does not follow your plea and gives you more than you bargained for, the fact that you entered a plea will not be used against you and you will be allowed to withdraw your plea. Did you understand?
Yes, ma'am.
Did you understand you have a right to jury trial, a right for you or your attorney to cross-examine and confront any witnesses the state would call in the right to remain silent?
Yes, ma'am.
Did you understand by entering this plea, you were giving up those rights?
Yes, ma'am.
And did you intend to give up those rights and enter into a plea in this case?
Yes, ma'am.
Counsel, has your client been able to provide you with any defenses?
Yes, Your Honor, she has.
Do you believe she has a rational as well as a factual understanding of the charges against her?
I believe she does, Judge.
Do you believe she's currently competent and was legally sane at the time of the offense?
Yes, Your Honor, I believe she was.
Ms. Sanchez, has anyone threatened you, coerced you, or placed you in fear to get you to enter this plea?
No, ma'am.
Anyone promised you anything other than the plea?
No, ma'am.
Are you satisfied with the way you've been represented?
Yes, ma'am.
Are you a U.S. citizen?
Yes, ma'am.
Court will find that defendant has knowingly and voluntarily waived her right to jury trial. Did you review the plea bargain page with your attorney? Did you understand it?
Yes, ma'am.
According to the plea, punishment is to be assessed at 16 months in the state jail facility, and there are no applications. Did you understand that to be the plea?
Thank you, ma'am.
Defense?
Yes, Your Honor.
State?
Yes, Your Honor.
Did you review the waiver of appeal paragraph with your attorney? Did you understand it? Did you sign it in both places?
Yes, ma'am.
Did you understand by signing that you're waiving your right to appeal? The only items that can be appealed are written pretrial motions that have been filed, heard, and ruled upon by the court. Did you understand?
Yes, ma'am.
Counsel, have there been any such motions?
No, Your Honor.
Then to the offense as charged, how do you plead? Guilty, not guilty, or no contest?
No, ma'am.
State, any evidence?
State Office Exhibit 1 and all happens.
Any objection?
No objection, Your
State, you may continue to confer. Did you review the document entitled Waiver and Consent to Stipulation of Testimony and Stipulations with your attorney? Did you understand it? Did you sign it in all the appropriate places?
Yes, ma'am.
Again, did you understand you have a right to jury trial, a right for you or your attorney to cross-examine and confront any witnesses the state would call in the right to remain silent?
Yes, ma'am.
Did you understand that today the state will be presenting evidence in the form of witnesses' statements and police reports, but most importantly, there will be no live testimony? Did you understand?
Yes, ma'am.
Court will find that defendant has knowingly and voluntarily waived and consented to stipulation of testimony and stipulations. Court will accept into evidence states exhibits 1 and attachments, and the court will review the same. After reviewing states exhibits 1 and attachments, the court will find there is sufficient evidence to find you guilty, and the court will find you guilty. Are you proceeding with sentencing?
Yes, Your Honor.
Anything you wish to say on behalf of your client?
None of this.
All right, so she was reporting for what? For pretrial services?
Will be reported for parole, Your Honor.
All right, so you go to parole with drugs? Yes?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, so how often are you using?
Other than using that,
Then why do you have drugs in your pocket?
because I had it on.
You're here for drugs. And in the true bill of indictment, the enhancement that was waived was another drug case. So here's the thing, you're habitual. Really, the range of punishment for habitual for this offense is 2 to 20 years in prison. The state agreed to waive that and proceed on this as a state jail felony. So it appears to the court that you have a drug or alcohol problem. You can do one of two things. One, you can keep playing this game where you're in and out of prison. At some point in time, you're going to use somebody's drugs. They're not going to be good. They may be bad drugs, and you may end up dying. That's just the cold, hard facts. Or you may end up spending the rest of your life in prison. You understand?
Yes, ma'am.
So here are your choices. One, I'm going to follow through with the 18 months. I can recommend you for the therapeutic community. The therapeutic community doesn't increase your time at the state jail facility. If you're there for 18 months, the therapeutic community is not going to keep you because you have not completed their program, but maybe it's something that could possibly help you. Do you understand?
Yes, ma'am.
So would you like the therapeutic community?
Yes, ma'am.
Your Honor, I'm sorry, just to clarify for the record, it was 16 months and not 18.
I'm
correct?
sorry, 16 months.
Thank you.
Thank you. And do you have any children?
Yes, ma'am.
What are their ages?
2, 4, 7, and 13.
Right, and who are they with now?
With foster care.
And Child Protective Services is in your life right now, or have you signed the rights away?
My family member has them.
All right. All right. This is what the court is going to do. The court is going to find you guilty, sentence you to 16 months in the state jail facility, give you credit for any time served. I'm going to order the therapeutic community, and there's to be no contact with minors.
Yes, ma'am.
Showing you what's entitled Trial Court Certification of Defendant's Rights to Appeal. Did you review that with your attorney? Did you understand it?
Yes, ma'am.
Because this is a plea bargain agreement, because I followed your plea bargain agreement, and because you waive your right to appeal, you do not have the court's permission to appeal. Because this is a felony conviction, you're not allowed to own or possess any weapons or ammunition. If you have a question over what a weapon or ammunition is, you'll need to speak to an attorney. Do you understand?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, we can go off the record. So here's the thing. Nobody, like your family members who have your children, they just probably intended to be babysitters. They didn't want to take on more children. If you're going to continue the way you're doing, you need to probably consider not having more children. You understand?
Yes, ma'am.
Or making sure that if you're going to continue in certain activities, that you don't become pregnant, because you're not taking care of any of your children and it's not good for them.
Yes,
You
ma'am.
understand?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, good luck to you, okay? And when you get out, if you need help finding a place for treatment, you can always come back here, okay?
Okay.
All right, good luck.
Still ready.
Court is calling 2024 CR 1224, State of Texas versus Luke Anthony Galvan. Could I have parties announced for the record for the state? Defense,
Eric Baker, Your Honor.
are you Mr. Galvan?
Yes, ma'am.
Counsel, have you received all the discovery and did you review it with your client?
Yes, Your Honor.
Court will find that the state is in compliance with discovery. Everyone, we're on the record. Please whisper. Mr. Galvin, did you review the document entitled Application for Deferred Adjudication with your attorney? Did you understand it and did you sign it?
Yes, ma'am.
Did you review the true bill of indictment with your attorney? Did you understand it?
Yes, ma'am.
Counsel, do you waive the reading of the indictment?
So waived, Judge.
State, are you proceeding on the indictment as presented?
You're right.
Mr. Galvin, did you review the document entitled Court Admonishments and Defendants Waivers and Affidavit of Admonitions with your attorney? Did you understand it? Did you sign it in all the appropriate places?
Yes, ma'am.
Did you understand you're charged by indictment with aggravated assault with a deadly weapon? That's a second-degree felony. Range of punishment is anywhere from 2 to 20 years in prison and up to a $10,000 fine. Did you understand?
Yes, ma'am.
If you have a plea bargain agreement with the state, the court does not have to follow your agreement. If for any reason the court does not follow your agreement and gives you more than you've bargained for, the fact that you entered a plea will not be used against you and you will be allowed to withdraw your plea. Did you understand?
Yes, ma'am.
Did you understand you have a right to jury trial, a right for you or your attorney to cross-examine and confront any witnesses the state would call and the right to remain silent?
Yes, ma'am.
Did you understand by entering this plea bargain agreement, you were giving up those rights?
Yes, ma'am.
And did you intend to give up those rights and enter into a plea in this case?
Yes, ma'am.
Did you understand that the court were to grant your application for deferred adjudication? If for any reason your deferred adjudication were revoked, the court could find you guilty and sentence you up to 20 years in prison and up to a $10,000 fine. Did you understand?
Yes, ma'am.
Counsel, has your client been able to provide you with any defenses?
He has, Your Honor.
Do you believe he has a rational as well as a factual understanding of the charges against him?
Yes, I do, Judge.
Do you believe he's currently competent and was legally sane at the time of the offense?
I do, Your Honor.
Mr. Galvin, has anyone threatened you, coerced you, or placed you in fear to get you to enter this plea?
No. Actually, no, ma'am.
Suggesting he was threatened.
Oh, no, ma'am.
Anyone promised you anything other than the plea?
Um, say it again.
Anyone promised you anything other than your plea bargain agreement?
No, ma'am.
Are you satisfied with the way you've been represented?
Like, what is that? What is that? I mean,
All right, is he confident?
Judge, we've looked into that. I've talked to his family. I believe he is.
All right.
He's not as quick, maybe as.
All right.
he
So,
is.
Mr. Galvin, you understand that this is Mr. Baker is representing you?
yes, ma'am.
All right. Are you happy with the way he's been representing you?
Yes, ma'am.
Are you a U.S. citizen?
Yes, ma'am.
Court will find that defendant has knowingly and voluntarily waived his right to jury trial. Did you review the plea bargain page with your attorney? Did you understand it?
Yes, ma'am.
According to the plea, there's a $2,000 fine, affirmative finding of deadly weapon. The state recommends deferred adjudication, and there's to be restitution, if any, to Robert Perales. Did you understand that to be the plea?
Yes, ma'am.
Defense?
Yes, Your Honor.
State?
It is wrong.
Did you review the waiver of appeal paragraph with your attorney? Did you understand it? Did you sign it in both places?
Yes, ma'am.
Did you understand by signing that you're waiving your right to appeal? The only items that can be appealed are written pretrial motions that have been filed, heard, and ruled upon by the court. Did you understand?
Yes, ma'am.
Counsel, are there any such motions?
No, Your Honor.
Outside the agreement, the state is requesting that your community supervision be for a term of 10 years. There be a TAP evaluation, 250 hours of community service restitution, and no contact with Robert Perales. Did you understand those were recommendations from the state and the court does not have to follow those recommendations?
Yes, ma'am.
Then to the offenses charged, how do you plead? Guilty, not guilty, or no contest?
No contest.
State, any evidence?
Yes, Your Honor, State Exhibit number 1 with office attachment.
No objection, Your Honor.
And state, have you had a chance to speak with the complainant?
You've reached out multiple times, Your Honor. I have not personally had contact.
All right, thank you. Mr. Galvin, did you, and you may continue to confer. Mr. Galvin, did you review the document entitled Waiver and Consent to Stipulation of Testimony and Stipulations with your attorney? Did you understand it and did you sign it in all the appropriate places?
Yes, ma'am.
Again, did you understand you have a right to jury trial, a right for you or your attorney to cross-examine and confront any witnesses the state would call and the right to remain silent?
Yes, ma'am.
Did you understand that today the state was going to be presenting evidence in your case through police reports and statements, but nobody was going to come into this court and talk to the court in person? Did you understand?
Yes, ma'am.
Court will find that defendant has knowingly and voluntarily waived and consented to stipulation of testimony and stipulations. Court will accept into evidence states exhibits 1 and attachments, or the court will review the same. right, after reviewing state's exhibits one and attachments, the court will find there is sufficient evidence to find you guilty. The court will defer finding of guilt as you've applied for deferred adjudication. Are we proceeding with evidence? Proceeding with sentencing?
Yes, Your Honor, and I would make a recommendation on the below the line time of deferred and ask the court consider a lesser time than 10 years.
Okay, so can you tell me what is his diagnosis? Does he have a diagnosis?
According to his family and my speaking to him, he's it's more on that line of a learning disability, but not anything that would impair his, and I don't think that was related to what happened here, Judge. I did specifically look into that. So,
All right, so is he going to be living at the same location or is he going to be living at a different location?
Judge, he's going to be living with his aunt. Is that your house?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
yes, sir.
It's the same location, but I don't believe the person who was the victim in this case lives there. I think he was itinerant or homeless or something of that nature.
I'm sorry?
I don't believe that the victim in this case is a resident there.
Okay.
It was his home. So there's not likely to be the same interaction.
Okay. So, Mr. Galvin, are you employed or are you receiving SSI?
I'm not receiving nothing right now. I gotta get like on disability.
All right, were you previously on disability?
Huh?
Were you previously on disability?
No, man.
Have you ever been on disability?
No, man.
So how do you spend your day? What do you do?
I was just slacking off, but now I'm gonna do better though.
All right.
And Your Honor, he has family that's going to help him comply with these terms and conditions, understands that he was kind of left alone, but they're going to now help him get a job and to be successful on this deferred. I've already spoken to his family. They're going to come pick him up and make sure that he is successful.
All right, how long is it for a MIC evaluation? Okay. All right, the court is going to do a $2,000 fine. There's an affirmative finding of a deadly weapon. There's to be restitution and no contact with Robert Perales. And counsel, can you tell me this situation, was this a group home?
No, it's a residence.
Okay. I'm going to sentence you to 4 years deferred adjudication,
Yes, ma'am.
250 hours of community service restitution, proof of employment within 30 days. There's to be no employment as a home health care provider with minors. Regular reporting by Zoom or in person. Regular random UAs. Field visits. 1 time per month for 4 months. Anger management. Probation, is there anything else he needs? Yes, we can do make out of custody.
Thank you, Judge.
All right, Mr. Galvin, is there anything else you need from the court to be successful?
No.
All right, did you review the document entitled Trial Court Certification of Defendant's Rights to Appeal with your attorney, and did you understand it?
Yes, ma'am.
Because this is a plea bargain agreement, because I followed your plea bargain agreement, and because you waive your right to appeal, you do not have the court's permission to appeal.
Yes, ma'am.
You understand?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, we can go off the record. If something comes up and you need help with anything, let probation know. If you feel like they are not addressing it, you can always come back to the court. But above all, you need to make sure you report. You understand?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, thank you.
Judge, thank you so much. Can I be excused?
You're welcome. Yes. All right, Mr. Zalaki, thank you for dressing appropriately for court.
You're welcome. Good morning.
Good morning. All right, counsel, have you received all the discovery? Did you review it with your client?
Yes, Your Honor, and we have reached an agreement.
All right, court will find that the state is in compliance with discovery. Did you review the document entitled Application for Community Supervision with your attorney? Did you understand it and sign it?
Yes, ma'am.
Did you review the true bill of indictment with your attorney? Did you understand it?
Yes, ma'am.
Counsel, do you waive the reading of the indictment?
We do, Your Honor.
State, are you proceeding on the indictment as presented?
Your Honor, we're proceeding on the lesser included assault bodily injury misdemeanor.
Any objection?
No objection, Your Honor.
Did you review the document entitled Court's Admonishments and Defendants Waivers and Affidavit of Admonitions with your attorney? Did you understand it? Did you sign it in all the appropriate places?
Yes, ma'am.
Did you understand the state is proceeding on the lesser included offense of assault bodily injury family? That is a Class A misdemeanor. The range of punishment is up to a $4,000 fine and up to 1 year in the Bexar County Jail. Did you understand?
Yes, ma'am.
If you have a plea with the state, court does not have to follow your plea. If for any reason the court does not follow your plea and gives you more than you bargained for, the fact that you entered a plea will not be used against you and you will be allowed to withdraw your plea. Did you understand?
Yes, ma'am.
Did you understand you have a right to jury trial, a right for you or your attorney to cross-examine and confront any witnesses the state would call in the right to remain silent?
Yes, ma'am.
Did you understand by entering this plea, you were giving up those rights?
Yes, ma'am.
And did you intend to give up those rights and enter into a plea in this case?
Yes, ma'am.
Counsel, has your client been able to provide you with any defenses?
He has, Your Honor.
Do you believe he has a rational as well as a factual understanding of the charges against him?
He does.
Do you believe he's currently competent and was legally sane at the time of the offense?
He is and he was, Your Honor.
Mr. Zalaki, has anyone threatened you, coerced you, or placed you in fear to get you to enter the plea?
No, ma'am.
Anyone promised you anything other than the plea?
No, ma'am.
Are you satisfied with the way you've been represented?
Yes, ma'am.
Are you a U.S. citizen?
Yes.
Court will find that defendant has knowingly and voluntarily waived his right to jury trial. Did you review the plea bargain page with your attorney? Did you understand it?
Yes, ma'am.
According to the plea, the state is proceeding on the lesser included offense of assault, bodily injury, family violence. Punishment is to be assessed at 1 year in the Bexar County Jail. State recommends community supervision. There's an affirmative finding of family violence. There's to be no contact with the complainant, Ms. Carvajal, and there's to be no contact with Mr. Martinez. Did you understand with an affirmative finding of family violence, you're not allowed to own or possess any weapons or ammunition?
Yes, ma'am.
Did you understand with an affirmative finding of family violence, you're not allowed to be designated as primary custodial parent?
Yes, ma'am.
Did you understand that to be the entirety of your plea?
Yes, ma'am.
Defense,
That's our plea bargain.
state?
Yes, Your Honor.
Did you review the waiver of appeal paragraph with your attorney? Did you understand it? Did you sign it in both places?
Yes, ma'am.
Did you understand by signing that you're waiving your right to appeal? The only items that can be appealed are written pretrial motions that have been filed, heard, and ruled upon by the court. Did you understand?
Yes, ma'am.
Counsel, have any such motions?
No such motions.
Outside the agreement, the state is requesting that your community supervision be for a term of 2 years. Did you understand that was a recommendation from the state and the court does not have to follow that recommendation?
Yes, ma'am.
Then to the lesser included offense, how do you plead? Guilty, not guilty, or no contest?
No contest.
State any evidence.
Yes, Your Honor. State offer states 1 and attachments.
No objection, Your Honor.
All right. And state, have you talked to the complainants?
We have talked to the complainants. Yes, Your Honor.
All right. You may continue to
Thank you,
confirm.
Judge.
Mr. Zalaki, did you review the document entitled Waiver and Consent to Stipulation of Testimony and Stipulations with your attorney?
Yes, ma'am. I did.
Did you understand it?
Yes, ma'am.
Did you sign it in all the appropriate places?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. Did you understand, again, you have a right to jury trial, a right for you or your attorney to cross-examine and confront any witnesses the state would call in the right to remain silent? Did you understand that today the state will be presenting evidence in the form of witnesses' statements and police reports, but most importantly, there'll be no live testimony? Did you understand?
Yes, ma'am.
Court will find that defendant has knowingly and voluntarily waived and consented to stipulation of testimony and stipulations. Court will accept into evidence states exhibits 1 and attachments, and the court will review the same. All right, after reviewing states exhibits 1 and attachments, the court will find there is sufficient evidence to find you guilty, and the court will find you guilty. Are you proceeding with sentencing?
If we could, Your Honor.
Anything you wish to say on behalf of your client?
Well, Your Honor, Mr. Zwolaki was a very young man when this happened. I believe he was a senior in high school or just after his senior year in high school. He took this very seriously. He he had previously received some treatment for ADHD. He went to those same treatment providers and got some anger management therapy. He learned how to address those emotional issues that come up sometimes. And so, Your Honor, I'm very proud of him. I think he's done very well on his pretrial release. We'd ask that you follow the state's plea bargain.
All right, how old are you?
I'm 20. I just turned 20.
All right, so what was this about?
This was a girlfriend that I had, and I went over to her house and she invited me inside and there was another man there. And so without thinking, I got into it with that man.
All right, so the police report that I have in the stipulations are saying something different.
Yes, ma'am.
What it's saying is that she was with the other complainant in this case,
Mhm.
and she observed your vehicle parked outside and that you were not invited. I can't imagine somebody inviting their boyfriend or significant other to a location
Mhm.
and they have somebody else there.
Well, I knocked on the door because I felt something in my gut. I knew something was up. And so she answered the door and I asked if I could come inside and she was like, yeah, it's okay. And that's how I knew someone was inside, was after I was in.
Well, it's saying that you aggressively pushed your way through the front door
Yes.
and
yes,
then you proceeded to search the place like you're an officer.
Oh, yes, ma'am.
And
On
kick
the
it in the
ring,
door?
it could probably hear me asking. They had a Ring doorbell camera. I did ask to come inside. She did say yeah.
And kick it in the door to
Uh,
where the person was hiding?
in the restroom, yes, ma'am. After I knew that the door was locked inside, yes, ma'am.
Mhm. So are you in a relationship now?
No, ma'am. I've had no contact or anything since then, and I haven't even tried getting in another relationship since then.
Here's the thing, I know tempers flare among people,
Yeah.
but you need to take a deep breath and you know what you need to ask yourself? And this is what I tell everybody. If you're in a relationship with somebody and you think they're cheating on you, you have one or two things you can do. You accept it, you continue with the relationship, or you call it a day.
Yeah.
If you find out that they are actually cheating on you, you have a choice to make. Either you stay in a relationship with them cheating and knowing they're cheating, and you accept that and say, okay, I'm fine with you cheating. I'm not gonna, put up a stink about it. Or either you call it a day,
Yes, ma'am.
but you don't barge your way into someone's apartment, which, how old was she?
She was 18.
All right, 18-year-olds have their own apartments and everything now.
It was her mom's house
Ah, so you broke the door at her mom's house.
in the restroom, yes, ma'am.
All right. And did he pay for that?
Prior to the filing of the charges.
All right. Are you employed?
Yes, ma'am.
What do you do?
I work at a gym and then I am also a personal trainer.
Okay. All right. You raised your eyes when you said you're a personal trainer, like you're trying to take me on as a client. I know I need that, but yeah. Yeah, but Sean, you should have seen his eyes. He's like, and I'm a personal trainer. And then he looks at me.
I'm sorry, I like my job.
No, that's okay. I need somebody to bam on the door and wake me up and say, we're going to the gym. All right. I know my faults. All right. I'm going to sentence you to 1 year in the Bexar County Jail, suspended and probated for 2 years. There's an affirmative finding of family violence.
Yes, ma'am.
There's to be no contact with the complainant. That means that relationship is over. You're not to contact her family, send her letters or anything of that nature.
Yes. And I do have
Yes.
a question. Is that both ways? Is she gonna be able to contact me?
Yes, I don't have any jurisdiction over her, but if she calls you, you need to block her.
Okay.
Or if she comes by, you need to call the police and say, I have a no contact order in place.
Okay.
Because what ends up happening, I found, and your attorney can tell you this, people think they're gonna get back together, and then an argument happens, police are called, and then you violated the no contact order.
Yes, ma'am.
So there's to be no contact with the complainants. Proof of employment within 15 days. There's to be no employment as a home healthcare provider or with minors. There's to be regular UAs. Field visits. One time. And then at probation's discretion. I'm going to do an anger management class. And I know your counsel's saying you've done one, you're going to have to do one because the other option is the BIPP course, which I know he hasn't done that.
Right, that's true.
So there's to be anger management. You don't have any children, do you?
No.
Okay. Probation, is there anything else? I'll do 80 hours of community service restitution. If you want to, you can pay those off at $7.25 per hour. And I always recommend the food bank, but if there's, and I usually recommend that because they're usually low on food and other items. But if there is some other place that's approved by probation that you would like to donate it to, you can. Otherwise, you'd need to do the 80 hours. Do you understand?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. Is there anything else you need from the court? All right. Did you review the document entitled Trial Court Certification of Defendant's Rights to Appeal with your attorney? Did you understand it?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. Because this is a plea bargain agreement, because I followed your plea bargain agreement, and because you waived your right to appeal, you do not have the court's permission to appeal. Do you understand? Because this is an affirmative finding of family violence, you're not allowed to own or possess any weapons or ammunition. If you have a question over what a weapon or ammunition is, you'll need to speak to an attorney. Do you understand? All right, we can go off the record. Here's the thing. Communication is key to be successful on probation in this court. If you have an issue, let probation know. If you feel as though they're not addressing it, you can always come back to the court. All right? Good luck to you.
Thank you, Your Honor.
You're welcome.
May we be excused?
Yes.
Thank you.
All right. Legal Lindo, court is calling 2023 CR 6947, State of Texas versus Lee Galindo Jr. Can I have parties announced for the record for the state
Daniel Escobar from the state of Texas.
defense?
Brent LaBus from Mr. Galindo.
All right. And you're Mr. Galindo? All right. You were brought back here because I was trying to decide on whether or not to send you to prison or grant you probation. State is silent. I've had a chance to think of it. Sometimes it takes time to think over things. I never like to make snap judgments. And what I can tell you is my main concern with you is the number of DWIs you've had. That's concerning. And maybe you do well on probation when you are, supervised intensely. And then once you're off probation, you go back to your old habit, which is if there's an issue, let me drink. So the state is solid. I'm going to give you a choice. Probation in this court is very hard. And I'm taking in consideration the fact that you have been in treatment and doing well, but you've been convicted of driving while intoxicated before as a felony. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
All right. So here's your choice. You're going into custody today either way. One, you can be taken into custody and you can go to safety, or either I can send you to prison. And the state is asking for 5 years prison. I would sentence you to 4 years prison because I know that you have been doing some treatment. So those are your choices, but either way, you're going into custody today. So which would you prefer? Okay. All right. Thank you, state. This is what the court is going to do. Court is going to sentence you to 5 years in the prison, suspended and probated for 10 years. There's going to be safety, followed by aftercare. Proof of employment within 45 days of release. There's to be no employment as a home health care provider or with minors. There's to be regular reporting by Zoom or in person. Regular random UAs. 10 days in the Bexar County Jail as a condition of probation. DWI education course. Victim Impact Live. Ignition Interlock for full term. Field visits. 1 time per month for 6 months. And then at probation's discretion. 2 years license suspension. Probation, is there anything else he needs? And there's going to be 100 hours of community service restitution. Is there anything else you need from the court to be successful? And then, I'm sorry, probation upon release, I'm going to want 120 meetings in 120 days. All right, did you review the document entitled Trial Court Certification of Defendant's Rights to Appeal with your attorney? Did you understand it and did you sign it? Because this is a plea bargain agreement, because I followed your plea bargain agreement, and because you waive your right to appeal, you do not have the court's permission to appeal. It's a felony conviction. You're not allowed to own or possess any weapons or ammunition. If you have a question over what a weapon or ammunition is, you need to speak to an attorney. Do you understand? All right, we can go off the record. Here's the thing. And here, to be successful on probation, communication is key. If there's an issue, you need to talk to probation. If you feel yourself thinking that you're going to start drinking, call probation. You need to get a sponsor. You need to be vigilant on your sobriety. I think now, if this should be a wake-up call for you, that you can't drink at all. And I don't know why, if people are going to drink, have a designated driver already built into the, factored into the situation. But for you, you're not allowed to drink at all. And while you're on probation, you're not allowed to drink at all. Do you understand? All right, good luck to you.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you. I can request that it run concurrent, but whether or not it runs concurrent, that is completely up to parole. Let me ask you this. Have you already been revoked on your parole?
No, ma'am.
All right, then if you have not been revoked on your parole, then I can say that these state cases will run concurrent with your parole.
Are we off the record?
Yeah, we're not on the
Your
record.
Honor, I have these cases, I owe the state from 2014, 25-year sentence. And what I was asking as part of the plea bargain is, I'm willing to give the state the conviction if they'll run it concurrent with.
Oh, no, here's the thing. This is what I'm telling you. I want you to listen
Oh,
to
yes,
me
ma'am.
carefully. I can put in the order that the case will run concurrent with parole. I don't have any jurisdiction over that. I can't force parole to make their case run concurrently with ours. For example, if you had a federal case, I can say, oh, this time is going to run concurrent with whatever they're doing on federal, but I have no jurisdiction to force them to do that. Parole is completely different from probation, but I can put on the judgment that it's a run concurrent with your parole, but I have no jurisdiction to force them to do that.
All I'm asking is if it runs concurrent with one of my case, with my case number that I.
Okay, here's
It
the
is a county case. It is a Bexar County
here's the
case.
thing.
Yes, ma'am.
I know what you want. You know what you want? You want me to tell you
No.
that I can force these cases to run concurrently. That's what you want to hear from me. What I'm telling you is, and I want you to hear what I'm saying.
Yes, ma'am.
I can write on a sheet of paper and say, your cases are to run concurrent with your parole. Guess what? If parole does not want their case to run concurrent with this, it does not have to.
I think it's more of the case. I want to run concurrent with my case, with my active case and not my parole.
These two cases, if their agreement is there to run concurrently, they will be running concurrently.
So
If you have something that is on parole, I have no jurisdiction to force it to run concurrently. That's what I'm telling you.
as in, I didn't comprehend that part.
Hmm?
I apologize. I didn't comprehend that part.
Yes, I can't force them to do it. I can put in our judgment that these cases are going to run concurrent with your parole, but I can't force parole to run anything concurrent with these cases.
So what happens to, I'm a little lost right now. What would happen with each case individually?
Individually, if you were going to plead
One
on,
I still 15 years and then I'm getting a 10 with it.
if you were to plead on both of these cases, I can order that these two cases will run concurrent and they will run concurrent. But if you want these two cases, if you're gonna plead to these two cases to run concurrent with your parole, I have no jurisdiction over what parole can do. I can put it in judgment and write down these two cases are to run concurrent with your parole. But you know what parole could do? Parole could say, yes, we're revoking him and his parole is not running
Well,
concurrent.
I'm going back to the Texas Department of Criminal Justice regardless, you know what I mean? I haven't been revoked because we're waiting on the outcome of these cases.
All right, so here's the thing. What I want you to do, we're gonna bring you back at 1:30, and I want you to internalize what I'm saying, not what you
No, no,
want.
you know, yes, ma'am, I understand. I'm just trying to comprehend and break it down how,
I can't break it down any further.
so,
I can't make the parole board run these cases concurrent with your parole. If I put in the motion or I put in the judgment, these cases are to run concurrent with parole, parole could still say, thank you so much, Judge Boyd. We're not running it concurrent.
even if they're Bexar County cases,
Yes, even if they're Bexar County cases. Parole is something completely separate. I have no jurisdiction over the parole authorities.
what if you can run it concurrent with the cases themselves and not parole?
I can say it's running concurrent, but again, parole can still say, we're not running it concurrently. So here's the thing, I know what you want. And we're gonna keep saying this same thing, and it's not, my answer is not gonna change.
Yes, ma'am.
So come back at
Thank you.
1:30. All right, thank you.